I got a phone call, and it was a call on my private line that came through, and I'll never forget that day. It was a lady, and she was crying on the other end. And I remember her saying to me, Mr. Rivers, I'm so sorry to hear about your daughter. Now, my daughter, Cameron, was in kindergarten at the time. And I said to her, I said, what happened? What's wrong with Cameron? And she says, well, her tumor, her terminal brain tumor. And I'll never forget hanging up the phone with her. And it took me about 20 minutes to get in touch with my wife, Monica. And those 20 minutes changed my entire life. I got in touch with Monica, and thank God it wasn't Cameron, but it shook me up so much during that time that I told Monica, we got to find this family. And I found the family. It took us about a week to get a hold of them. Now, the little girl, her name was Megan. It's funny, at first I poured into them indigent care and helped them with drugs and insurance. Then I realized they don't need more care, they don't need more drugs, they need money. And I offered the father to write him a check, and he said no and wouldn't have anything to do with it. And I remember hanging up the phone, and that was one of the first times I felt a tangible push from God. And it just said, don't you give up. You call him back and just trust me. And I called him back, and I was making it up on the spot. I remember saying to him, I said, hey, John, I said, how about if we do a barbecue for little Megan, a fundraiser? We'll do it at your church, and all the money that we take in that day will go to her treatment. And he called his wife and said, okay, except it had to be 10 days later because she was getting ready to start her next round of chemo after that. These 10 days go by, 450 people RSVP'd for this event. And it was just amazing. I mean, people started coming out of the woodwork, and equipment started showing up, and someone dropped off an 18-foot smoker in our front yard, literally with a sticky note on it that said, hey, heard you might need this, call me when you're done and I'll pick it up. We had that event, and we fed 450 people. We raised a lot of money for this beautiful little girl. So right then and there, on the spot, we started our BBQ Ministry. And for the next 4 years, anytime kids or schools or churches would call and need money, I'd offer to write them a check, but I also offer to bring out my smoker and cook for them. Little Megan was with us for another year, and it was such an honor for us to be able to carry on her memory, and more so, have it be such an instrumental part of who we are today. 30 years ago, back when I was in healthcare, I was here in Orlando, and my largest client and customer that I had was Florida Hospital. And I think it's just so ironic that 20, 30 years later now, here we are working together in partnerships in our ministry, and I couldn't be more excited and grateful to do something this big than I am to be able to do it with somebody like Florida Hospital. To this day, we still don't know who that phone call came from, and I know it wasn't a mistake because I remember distinctly the words, Mr. Rivers, I'm so sorry about your daughter. But had that call not come by that day, I'd probably still be in healthcare, and I wouldn't be in the ministry business that we're in today. My name is John Rivers. I am a cook, an entrepreneur, and a cancer fighter.